Hello everyone. My name is Biodun and I like AI. I'm no expert on the subject, but today we are going to discuss artificial. Oh my God, I didn't catch that. Okay. AI. Sorry, I'm not very good. Artificial intelligence. And what exactly is AI? And what we want to discuss here, it's literally talking about the basics of AI, nothing too fancy. AI is the big buzzword. Everybody's talking about it. It's on the phone, on the news. Your boss is telling you to use it. You probably have used it to solve one or two assignments or to even cheat. But anyways, what exactly is AI? And when I mean what is AI, what is the base level of AI? What exactly does it start from? Right? What do you need to know to be able to use AI properly? Right? And so here's a very, very big problem, right? Everybody thinks of AI like a robot, right? People think that AI is this big robot that has a very big brain, and that brain, yeah, this is a very cute robot. Anyways, it's a very big robot that has a big brain and it just thinks. People think AI thinks. You know, hear people say things like AI knows the answer to the question, but that's not what AI is, not at all. So, or like what people tell you, AI is simply like this. AI is you teaching a machine. Oh my God, so bad, right? Sorry about this. To make decisions. Okay, and I'm going to explain this. AI is you teaching a machine to make decisions. So I want you to think about it like this. How did you know that fire was hot? Right? Most likely as a child, you touched the hot pot and you all right, and you touched the hot pot and you're like, oh my God, this is hot. And then you realize from that point on that whenever you saw a pot on gas or maybe firewood and it was steaming, or you saw fire right under it, your brain just automatically told you it's hot, right? And so you wouldn't touch it anymore. Or next time when you want to touch it as you're growing older, you use something that would pad your hands so that you would not feel the heat. Well, that's exactly the same way machines learn, maybe quite differently, but you saw something that was data. You saw data and you made a decision. Now, this AI does the same thing. We show it examples, but not just one example. We show it lots of examples, and then it learns patterns from those examples. So what exactly are we talking about when we say we show AI examples, like what you call EG, right? And then it would keep learning and learning and learning and learning until it has a mastery of all the examples enough to make a decision. So just deal with me. I'll explain this. So let me give you a very good one. And this is something you learn a lot in data science when you start. So if we wanted to teach an AI system that every time you see the word congrats, right? And one and million in a mail, this email is spam. And anytime you don't see these words, this email is not spam. Now, what we are saying here is we're telling the artificial intelligence engine, which was still something we're going to break down later on, but this is the basic concept, right? Every time AI sees these words, congrats, you've won $1 million. Congrats, you've won the lottery. Congrats, you've won 1 million tokens. It is to identify it as spam. Okay. So how do we train the AI to continuously catch this kind of emails? It's simple. We are going to give it a list of emails as examples. So for example, I will say example one. So let me use the word C for congrats, W for one, and M for million. So let's say congrats, you won $1 million, right? This is example one. Then I would say example two, you won a house. Congrats. Example three, I would say, hey, millionaire, you won 2 dogs. Congrats. Now, what the artificial intelligence engine does here is pays attention to something we'll call frequency of words. And once again, this is something we explain along the line, but it sees the word congrats, it sees the words one, it sees the word million here, and then it learns that this is a spam email. But one example is not enough. So we'll give it more examples where it sees the word contract, it sees the word one, and it can infer that this could likely be a spam. It will use a probability, but don't worry about that. I'll teach you later. But it will use a spam. It will say this is a spam email because it will infer. And then we'll say, hey, millionaire, you won 2 dogs. Congrats. And it will also say this is a spam. So it's more like the way we cram. I don't know if you crammed, but if you cram before going in for an exam, so we'll just keep cramming and you say something over and over and over and over and over and over and over again to the point where you now get into the exam hall and you see the question and you just drop it. So what we are doing here is what we call pattern recognition. So we are helping the system to understand patterns. In common sense, what we are saying is if you see this thing over and over and over and over again, and you see that it has the same results over and over and over again, when you see a new thing, right, simply assign it that same result. Okay, so it's like the adage where people say you can't do the same thing over and over and over again and expect a different result. Yes, that's AI. AI is just seeing the same thing over and over and over again, and it is giving you the same results. Now, what AI is not. So the AI is not. So there are some things that AI is not, right? AI, and this is very tough to believe, but I promise you, programming did a very good job here, and a lot of papers too, and research. AI is not conscious. Now, I want you to pay attention to this. AI is not conscious. And what we mean AI is not conscious is that AI does not think the way you think. It doesn't feel, it doesn't know, it just exists. That's the idea, right? It doesn't think, it doesn't know, it doesn't feel, just exists. Why are we indicating this? Is because, oh my God, my board is very messy. Sorry about that. So why we're indicating this is because you need to know that whenever you're talking about artificial intelligence, you don't say things like ChatGPT is smart. I mean, it's not, right? It is just very good at pattern recognition. And once again, while we go down, it would make a lot of sense why we say things like this. So when ChatGPT is writing you a poem, it is not feeling poetic. What is happening is that we've shown the system multiple poems and it recognizes a pattern. So it's like we showed it 1 million poems where every time in that poem it says roses are red, right? Violets are blue. Okay. So, and we say this is a love poem, love. So when somebody comes to the system and says, ChatGPT, write me a love poem. Remember, we gave it this example 1 million times. Remember what we said, pattern recognition. So when we come and we say, write me a love poem, you know what it does? It just goes back to his brain. In this brain, the brain in this type is a system, not a conscious brain, where it says, what is a love poem? And then it looks at his data. Like, oh, I've been trained over and over again that roses are red, violets are blue, I love poems. So you start your poem with the same thing. Roses are red, violets are blue. And that is how AI finds your answers. Now, that's a very high level explanation. It takes a lot more to understand the depth of it, but I think you can just get the idea here. And I'm giving you a very simple example, which is when you see AI giving you answers, it's not actually smart. It is just properly programmed with very great algorithms that teach it pattern recognition. So you see something over and over and over and over again. It is learning to make decisions based on examples. Learning to make decisions based on examples. So everything we're going to cover in this series, neural networks, ChatGPT, image generation, it all builds on this one idea. Now, next episode, we are going to compare how humans learn versus how machines learn. So remember, we're talking about humans, how you learn, and this time with your brain, right? Versus machines. And this time also with the machine's brain, which is in this case, you can call the CPU or whatever system is backing it up, a GPU or something like that. So When we are done with this episode, you're going to understand a lot more. And this is AI literally for humans. So you don't have to be a tech geek to get what we are saying here. Just explain it with very basic examples. So follow so you don't miss it. And if this made AI feel very interesting or clicked for you, share it with someone who you think would benefit more from it. So follow, share. I think so make sure you follow, you share, and you like. You could also drop a comment. We definitely love to see that. So my name is Biodun and I am signing out.